here for Major. Second place, of course, earns himself a few points towards that qualifying spot. But obviously winning the whole thing, that's really where you want to be. So let's go live with this one, as we are already well underway. Looking here in the southeast position as the blue Protoss. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Welmu.
Representing Team Eclipsia. And up in the top left, NrG Princess, a.k.a. Major, who, as far as I can tell, is still teamless. He's played on a couple of teams in his time as a pro gamer, but has just never really been able to find a steady home.
No. I do believe that he plays with TSL quite a bit. Yeah,
I don't know if he's still staying in the in TSL's house or not, but you're right, he does do a lot of practicing with them in Korea. I spent some time with Caldor not too long ago. We went to Six Flags Magic Mountain. It was really fun. And we talked about the GOM house and the players that have been through there, and the successes that they're having, or the lack of success that some players might be having. And Caldor has always spoken very highly of Major's ability and his skill level. And I think, in spite of the fact that maybe he hasn't been able to just find that team and just stick with it, he's showing us that his time in Korea has not been poorly spent.
Absolutely. I agree with you completely. And, you know, Major's always been one of those guys that's impressed me with his drop play, with some of his aggression, just because of how fine-tuned it can actually be. You know, we do have Major blocking off access to his opponent's scout here. But what's interesting about this is, of course, he is going with the gas here. So, you know, keeping this somewhat unknown. It's going to force that probe to try to make his way back up to check for an expansion here in a little bit. Not getting that information he wanted inside. But how that will play into what exactly Major wants to do this game will certainly be seen here quite quickly. And there that probe is just going to back off a little bit, try to get a sneak up there as soon as he possibly can. Maybe even expecting a low ground CC to go down.
Yeah, and Woe just with that little probe chilling out. I'm going to wait and see what he can see. And factory going down here for Major, so we're going to have something happen here off of one base. I think the heyday of the 1-1-1 is probably behind us weak, but that always has to be something that that is, you know, in the back of your mind when you see the factory going down off just one base.
Yeah, of course. And I know it's a thing that gives Protoss players nightmares, but you're right, it's tempered off a little bit. And we still haven't seen these Marines actually poke out at all. The probe has not been double checking to see if there is indeed a command center down quite yet. But of course we do have the factory about ready to finish up. There the probe does check and sees that there is indeed not a low ground CC. So gathering information, getting clues, putting them inside his little clue book. There's the starport. I have to imagine that on his mind would be Banshees, but he throws down that Nexus, and he could possibly throw down that Robo as next to 100 gas and still have that expansion advantage. So far, Welmu, I think he's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, when you're playing against a one-base Terran, I think you still want to get that expansion up. You need that economic backing to kind of to fall back on. But it's just really important that you eventually figure out what's coming. And Major's building Hellions here, so it's going to be some sort of Hellion drop. And I like Hellion drop play against these early expansions from Protoss, because in general, especially if Protoss does something like Welmu is doing, going right up to one gate Robo, you just don't have many units that are good against Hellions. You might have 2 Stalkers out, but it still takes 2 Stalkers a really long time to kill Hellions. And in that amount of time, Hellions can kill a lot of probes. They can see your entire base. So, I mean, I think this is going to work out pretty well for Major.
Yep, and there, actually, he's going to wait for another Hellion. He's going to move out with his Marines. He might do some sort of a dual-pronged drop here. But he has gone ahead and thrown down that tech lab on the starport that allowed him to either transition into something with the tech lab there on the factory, but I'm not sure. We do have these Marines moving out, meeting up. There's a 1 Stalker at the center. It looks like he has fallen back, though, and they have left that Zealot there at the South Zelnaga Tower, but that drop is heading out. Obviously, 3 Hellions, not as powerful as 4, but we have Hellion number 4 probably going to go meet out here at this fourth base and pick up, or maybe he'll just drop and then add to it and attack from the front. Either way, the
frontal assault has pulled all of Welmu's forces to the natural. The Hellion's going to unload in the back wheat, and scary times right now. Welmu has spotted it, but immediately a couple shots going to go down. Now Welmu can afford to lose probes because he is up a base. He just can't afford to lose that many probes. And Major is going to lift up and get out of there after 6 probe kills. No additional aggression from the front just yet, but the Cloak Banshee follow-up is coming. And the Tech Lab is on the factory as well, so... well, I was going to say, there's the 111 ultimately coming, but that's not actually what we're going to see, because there is an expansion going down.
And the Observer is actually not going to see that Banshee right away. Is there a second Observer out? There is not. So is Cloak going to be done? It will be hitting at just the sweet spot timing. Moving into position here, he can activate that, and we're going to see a Stalker move in. And he does have another Observer on his way out, but that does not mean he's not going to get a couple of probes here. In the meantime, is he going to target some sentries? Yes. He'll take at least one out before that Observer gets in. Now, there's just the one Stalker, and you mentioned this whole concept of not having really what you need to deal with it. The other Stalkers that were inside the main coming back, but still the damage is being done. 5 kills, possibly get up to 6. No, he's going to have to back off, and he, oh my God, he stopped. I think he just moved too short, but perfect time for Banshee number 2 to make its way across the east side of the map into the main.
There are 3 Stalkers back there. There is an Observer back there, so Welmu is, I think, going to be just fine here, Wheat. He's got a nice worker lead, and look at that, getting good volleys off. Might kill the Banshee. No.
Gave up too easy.
I think he actually miscontrolled there.
I think
he was trying to move under him, and he clicked just above the cliff, so the Stalkers went to move towards his ramp. And the result is that the Banshee gets away. Robotics Bay going to go down now for Welmu. He's going to move on up, I guess, to some Colossus tech. Major, in the meantime, he's getting his own expansion down, but he's behind 10 SCVs. The army is basically Marine siege tank medevac with just that one Banshee supporting, getting repaired right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and you got to take a look at the economy, and although it's evening out a little bit with the mules being that far behind is going to allow Welmu to sort of take a bit of a lead here on tech, throwing down an additional gateway as well. And even though we do have Major spread out here and looking at what he's currently building a lot of, which is siege tanks and Marines, just now getting Stim and finding him in that position where we've not seen yet an engineering bay go down. There we do see another reactor and spitting out individual medevacs. So just kind of transitioning out of that a little bit differently. And now that this one Colossus is done, the move out across the map for Welmu is inevitable. And there are some Hellions here that got to watch out. And it does look like he'll get away. Almost eating it there. That medevac
that was
at 33.
That was scary. Medevac's like, get in, guys. And he's like, I don't know, man.
Quick. Yeah. Are you sure about that?
Medevac does get away, where she can be repaired, and this army of Welmu is getting pretty scary. He doesn't have any upgrades, but the Colossi by themselves are going to represent a real threat to these Marines. No combat shields anywhere in sight for Major. He's just now adding those additional barracks, and I think we're looking at a pretty significant timing where Welmu could push basically at any point.
We have a Banshee coming back in again, and this is one of the problems for Welmu. I mean, not really being able to move out. There is an Observer here, and that Banshee might fall down, actually transitions, or at least in a position he could get in the main, possibly. And he does scoot back around. Now working on that gateway, but he's got to be careful. That Stalker finishes him off, no problem.
A little bit sloppy there by Major.
That pylon spots this drop up in the northeast. I mean, a lot of guerrilla warfare here by both players, but I think that Welmu's sort of been stuck inside his own base. It's primarily just been Major who's done a great job spotting this stuff, trying to do more damage against the probes, and now we'll find out if this Hellion drop can do the same amount of damage it did in the first time. There are, of course, The Observer and the Stalker's there.
Yep, sitting parked right behind the double forge of Welmu. This time Major's gotten his upgrades going a little bit faster. His +1's finishing up, and he'll be going on +2 attack and probably +1 armor. Is he getting a second eBay? He should. Hellion drop completely deflected, does 0 damage, doesn't even unload. Medevac
It's away. 7
makes it
points
away
of
with
health.
7 health. Yeah,
The
very,
lucky
very
medevac.
barely. The
Now we
little
have another
medevac
drop.
that could.
It was the little medevac that could, and he's going to stay alive to can a little bit more. But we have this drop in the northwest, actually in the west side, over by the 3rd. If he moves out, though, this is going to be one of those awkward moments. Oh, the laser beams, they hurt so bad. He does save all those Marines, which is quite nice, but that drop will be thwarted. He definitely confirms the 3rd base, and we are going into that little bit longer game.
Yeah. Supply-wise, it's pretty even, 145 to 146. Major with a slightly larger army, but Welmu with some pretty nasty tech. Colossi, Immortals, Sentries, and upgrades are coming. +1, both finishing up. And Major has not transitioned seamlessly into his own second round of upgrades. He's got the double eBay, and as I'm saying it, they are going to go ahead and start up. +1 armor.
Look at this front army here. He's got a double medevac loaded up. He loaded up another medevac. He's got 3. Oh, those zealots. Those keen, wise zealots spot it. They're going to kill some SCVs as well. That was a great little warp in coming out by Welmu. And here we have the Hellions moving out across the map, quickly stomped out of existence. And is that medevac force? It's still going to go. He's going to go for a massive drop of medevacs into his main, and there is still this drop over by the 3rd. Is he going to spread the Protoss thin?
Gonna try to. Colossi are still where they need to be, so, I mean, these Marines... Whoa, Marines, don't go that way!
You know what, I do not agree with that at all, but I feel like he would have waited just a little bit
You never punched the big kid on the playground, Wheat.
But here comes that big drop into the main.
And it's going to be 4 medevacs full of Marines. One of them goes down before it can completely unload. Oh
my God.
Wow. Whoa, the Forges are going to get targeted down. This is a great pickup. +2 upgrade is going to be shut down. And at the same time, that other medevac was unloaded in the back of the 3rd base. That was dealt with pretty well, though. Vikings are here to try to... Terrible control. I thought they were going to pick off the Colossi, but instead they were move commanded.
But there's still 3 Marines inside the main base continuing to hack away at the probes. I mean, they're doing so much damage right now. There finally a warp-in happens, but he's going to go ahead and target down what probes he can. And that actually killed quite a bit. 32 workers have been killed overall.
That might prompt a reaction from Welmu.
I think it's going to... Well, I mean, shit. I mean, he killed all those, he killed all those Vikings. Like, that alone would be like, free Vikings? Wait a second, you can't deal with my Colossus now. And although no tanks were, pretty much in existence there in that engagement, I would definitely attack. And he is moving into position.
A couple tank volleys are going to go off. And Welmu's going to push the issue regardless. It's 2 maxed out armies, not very many Vikings. The Colossi are going to do a great job against these Marines. And, it does not look like Major can possibly win this fight. Marines are just running for their lives. The Colossi just killing everything. And Welmu is going to crush Major here.
Going to a game 5, ladies and gentlemen.
And we will have a game 5.
Absolutely. Oh, hold on. We do have a drop inside the main. But I think it's going to be over. I mean, even if he does significant economic damage, look at this force inside the natural. 2 Colossus, no answer to him. Takes on the high ground, going to do a bit of damage, but once those observers come in, there it is, GG. And that ties it up, 2 games.